you mentioned Dak Prescott. Let's hear a little bit. Let's hear a little from Dak Prescott talking about George Pickens' current predicament.
George loves football. That's the one thing about it. I just want him to know, don't change your love for football. Don't get in the business mind of this. You played last year on a 1 year for not even that much, right? So if you can go 30, whatever it is now, I think it's the same thing I got. So, when I franchise, so, hey, go do it. At the end of the day, bet on yourself. He's a hell of a player. Hopefully we can get him long term and sign that. But if not, I think the way that he plays the game, the person that he is, he'll be just fine.
Hey, look, I'm a big Dak Prescott fan, but he's dancing on a dangerous line there. Very dangerous. Hey, that sounds like something Jerry Jones would say. Well, you played last year for $3.65 million. You're making almost 10 times that. What's the problem? You should be happy. Your ship has come in. See, that's that poisonous fan mindset. Now we know why fans think the way they do, because owners and some players justify it. What Dak said sounds perfectly reasonable on the surface, but there are key differences. He even said, that's what I got. Well, Dak got 31.4. Pickens is getting 27.3. That's $4 million difference. So it's the difference between what Dak got 6 years ago. Right. Yeah, right. But what Dak got 6 years ago under the franchise tag is by more than what Pickens made last year than what Pickens is going to make this year. So it's a significant difference. And he's a quarterback who is going to be back at the trough and back at the trough and back at the trough over and over again because he's going to play into his late 30s. Pickens has one shot. So, Dak, big fan. Come on, man. I know you want to have him on the team. And I know you're dealing with a hard-headed and stubborn owner. I know that. But, man, if I'm George Pickens, I'm disappointed by Dak Prescott saying what he said. It's right on the line. Wow. Right on the line. It's not as far as Brett Favre when Javon Walker wanted a new contract and Favre came out and said, he should just show up and play and he needs to remember who throws him the football. At least Dak didn't say that. But it wasn't cool. I say that as a huge Dak Prescott fan, and I think he's underrated. People say he's overpaid. I think he's underrated. But that wasn't cool.
Well, I think he's on the line for a reason, Mike. You're right. On one hand, he sounds like management. Excuse me. He sounds like ownership with some of the comments. On the other hand, he's talking about George Pickens. And so I think he understands, is temperamental the right word for Pickens? Mercurial? You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of guy who I think he's already saying, look, hey, George, hey, stay with me. I know this is something that can distract you. This is something that can take you away from the goal. And you're not, and this is my second best receiver. Last year, you were my best receiver. And I need you to just stay focused. So, hey, just think about the big picture. Because ultimately, if it were up to, and I think Dak Prescott would probably say this to him privately, if it were up to me, I'd give you a new contract. I'd make you the highest paid receiver in football. I'd give you a 4 or 5 year contract and you wouldn't have to worry about this. But this is what we're dealing with in Dallas with Jerry Jones. So, hey, stay with me here because now Dak wouldn't say this, but I'll say it. He's the kind of guy who could kind of take his eyes off the prize and be a problem with this arrangement. And I think Dak is this is a preemptive strike.
Well, I understand that, but you mentioned that Pickens is mercurial, and I've been defending him a lot recently because I would submit to you that any great receiver that had to deal with the quarterback options in Pittsburgh from 2022 through 2024 would be mercurial too. And I think the way George Pickens ultimately behaved in Pittsburgh was a direct product of the fact that they didn't have someone who could get him the ball on a regular basis. They didn't use him the way they could or should, finding scheming ways to get the ball in his hands and showcasing his abilities. I remember thinking at one time they don't want this guy to become a star because they don't want to have to pay him. I remember thinking that at one point. Like, why are they not using this guy? What is wrong with them? Do they want to hold him down so he can't command $30 million a year, and then they turn around and give $35 million a year to DK Metcalf? The whole thing was weird. But I still think Dak should have handled it differently. And I'm going to try. I haven't had a chance to think about this, but I'm going to try to say what Dak should have said when he was asked about George Pickens. What Dak should have said is something like this. George Pickens is one of the best receivers I've ever seen. He deserves everything he gets. I support him in his effort to get paid. The franchise tag is unfortunate. I've been there. I dealt with it. It worked out for me. It's different for non-quarterbacks. I hope he gets what he deserves, and I hope we don't go through this year what we went through last year with Micah Parsons. Boom. Boom. Accurate, true, and that's not going to piss off anybody.
Yeah, that last part is going to piss off Jerry Jones. I hope the Micah Parsons thing.
Good.
Yeah. But he's not a provocative kind of guy, Dak Prescott. He's not somebody who is gonna kind of rankle ownership. He's a good leader, but he's not a leader who he doesn't as Charlie Murphy said, he does not cross the line habitually. He is not a habitual line crosser. So he kind of stays, he colors within the lines, it keeps the boundaries. So he's not going to go there.
No, he's crossing the line with a teammate. He's habitual line stepping a teammate.
Right, yeah. Yeah, right on the line.
Yeah, that's the problem. Let's see what George Pickens has to say about this. This is a high-level chess match. It's going to play out sooner than later. It can't play out like the Parsons deal did, because by the time we get past July 15, there's no way that they could do a long-term deal. He's got to make his moves now. He's got to make himself heard now. And it will be fascinating to see what George Pickens has to say. If I'm George Pickens, I'm not happy about what Dak Prescott said, period. And we'll see where it goes from here. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.